Tenants and politicians in Rhode Island believe that a just cause eviction proposal will be the thing that will help keep affordable housing available for tenants. But will it? I don't think so. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today. It's coming out of a state that I don't really cover that often, Rhode Island. So obviously, Rhode Island's on the East Coast. You know, it's just north of the Boston area. And so what would you think that their politics would be in terms of landlord-tenant law? My personal belief is that they probably swing much more to the left than they do to the right. And they care a lot less about property rights and landlords' rights than states in the Midwest or South. And that would be a correct assumption looking at this proposal we have here today. So the proposal that they have is a just cause eviction proposal. And like some of the other states that have put this proposal in place, they're trying to tie a rent control provision to it. Okay, not surprising. They say, oh, if a landlord increases the rent over a certain amount, essentially that is an eviction. No, it's not. Okay, landlords need to raise their rents for a multitude of reasons, and I can't stand government price controls over anything because, simply put, it will create artificial shortages of that product. Okay, so if there's no profit for someone to be making off of something due to this government price control, guess what? They're just not going to offer it. Okay, there's going to be a lot of landlords who decide, hey, I don't want to rent my property out. I don't want to jump through all of these hoops. I don't want to be able not to evict tenants from my property or have to go through the civil eviction process to remove people who I shouldn't have to go through that process to remove. That's ridiculous, okay? So yeah, I understand that they feel that, hey, you know what? We are struggling here. Everyone is struggling right now. Okay, inflation is through the roof. Don't believe the lies that some politicians are saying that, oh, inflation isn't a factor. Economy's doing great. Economy's doing great for some people, but for a lot of people, it is not doing great, and they are really suffering, especially with the cost of everything increasing. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. So do you believe that a just cause eviction proposal will actually help lower the cost of housing or help keep people housed? Or do you think it will have the opposite effect? That's what my personal opinion is. It will have the opposite effect. Not only will it hurt landlords and make our operating costs more expensive, right? But it will hurt tenants because there will be less housing available. So anyway, let me get into this article and let you know what it says. This article is coming from theprovidencejournal.com, and it says, people are really suffering. Proposal to require just cause for evictions stirs debate. Let's get into it. Aubrey Gordon broke down as she described the mouse infestations, leaking ceilings, and periodic lack of heat and hot water in her Cranston apartment complex. As a single mother of 4 children, she can't afford to move, even though she's working full-time in the medical industry. She told the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. 2-bedroom apartments in Warwick now rent for $2,200, she said, which is impossible on her budget. Hey, believe me, I feel for you, okay? I feel for you to an extent. However, it is not the landlord's responsibility to make sure that you remain housed and that you have somewhere affordable to live, okay? That is not our responsibility. You know, and that's what this really comes down to. The government and all these politicians and the tenants think that the landlord should have the responsibility to make sure that the tenant's housing is affordable. That is dumb. Okay, does McDonald's have the responsibility to make sure that their value meals are cheap enough that homeless people can afford them? Which would have to be free, of course, right? No, they're not. They're not. If you can't afford to eat at McDonald's, you don't eat there. If you can't afford to rent my housing, you don't rent here. That's the way life works, okay? And you take away the ability for us to set the prices in our properties, and guess what? Disaster occurs. Government price controls have been proven to fail time and time and time again, okay? And they are a precursor to socialism. Believe me, this is not what we want or need anywhere in this country. And while Gordon is now part of the Elmwood Tenants Union, which is demanding repairs, other tenants fear they'll be evicted if they speak up, she said. There's no reason why single moms like me should ever have to face homelessness, she said, her voice cracking with emotion. You know what? If you face homelessness, that's on you, okay? You can't say, well, I'm a single mom, I should never face homelessness, so I should never have to pay rent, or I should never face a rent increase ever. That's stupid, okay? That is stupid. That's like saying to me that, hey, you know what? I should always have a car to drive, so the car dealer should never be able to repossess the car from me, even if I don't make the payment. Come on. In fact, they should have to give me a car for free, right? Right? Wrong, okay? These tenants are acting entitled. They're acting against the best interests of the grand majority of people, even against their own best interests, and they don't understand it because no one is willing to explain it to them. No one is willing to just sit them down and talk to them and say, hey, this is why this is happening. These landlords have increasing expenses just like you do, okay? Their insurance costs have gone up, their utility costs have gone up, their property management costs have gone up. Every single expense that they have has gone up in the last few years. How do I know this? Because it's happened to me. So yes, I need to increase the rents. No, you don't get a break. I'm sorry if you can't afford it, but if you can't afford it, you need to move on. And guess what? That's the way life is. Life is not easy for anybody, even single moms. And if your idea is that somebody else needs to subsidize your living, somebody else needs to take care of me, hey, we're not your mom and dad. Go talk to your actual mom and dad. Okay? And the government doesn't need to be subsidizing you either. You need to take care of your own business. That's the way real people, adults, work in real life. Okay? And I'm sick of these people acting like freaking children. Gordon was testifying in support of Senate Bill 2920, which would require just cause for evictions, a policy that's in place in several other states, but faces vehement opposition from some local landlords. In fact, I would say that 99% of landlords are vehemently opposed to it. Because we see the writing on the wall. We see that what you're trying to do here is you're trying to cap our rents on top of making it almost impossible to evict anybody. Okay? You're throwing our leases into the garbage, okay? Someone signs a 12-month lease with me. That means at the end of the 12 months, I have to reevaluate whether I want to keep that person as a tenant or not. And 99% of the time I do. But if I have some kind of negative interaction with this tenant where I don't want to re-sign that lease, I shouldn't be forced to do it because the government is making me do it. Then I have to interact with a customer who doesn't get along with me, who is trying to destroy me, trying to hurt me in every single manner. That is stupid, okay? And yet they think this is a good idea. You know, like going into Walmart, you're a shoplifter. You stole from Walmart. And then you're like, well, why did you ban me from the store? That's not fair. I'm going to get the government to force you to accept me as a customer. You stole from Walmart. Well, guess what? When you don't pay your rent, you're stealing from the landlord. When you treat a landlord with disrespect, it's the same thing. If you cause a problem inside the store, Walmart, they can ban you from the store. People don't realize this stuff. They think that, oh, well, you know, you're just a greedy landlord. You know what? There's 1,000 reasons why a landlord would rather just wait until the end of the lease term rather than going through the civil eviction process, because civil eviction is slow and it's expensive. And so it's much easier for us to say, hey, I'm not signing a new lease with you. It's over. It's done. Get out. Okay? Let me continue. 0 landlords evict paying tenants who are respectful, who abide by the lease for no reason. Andy Cotton of Stone Link Property Management told the committee, it's not possible. And he's absolutely correct, okay? 0 landlords are doing that. They are morons if they think they are. They're like, oh, they're coming up with a scenario in their head of landlords who are somehow evil and vindictive for no reason. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to evict this paying tenant who treated me with respect the whole time just because I'm mean. No. Life doesn't work like that. the truth of the matter is that there are good reasons why the landlord didn't renew the lease. Maybe the tenant isn't willing to accept responsibility or accept the fact that, hey, you and the landlord are not a good match and that you need to go and find somewhere else to live. Okay? And then to make it even worse is they put this rent control provision in there so that, hey, if the landlord does need to increase rent due to all of the inflation, all of the increase in costs, like if I refinance one of my properties right now, I have to go from, like, all my properties are financed at a 4% interest rate or lower right now. If I refinance right now, I'm facing 8% interest rates. So, if, let's say, a landlord is out there and they have to refinance because they have some major capital expenditures that they need to take care of, right? So they refinance at that 8%, their payment goes up quite a bit, okay? It's not going to be a small amount of money that your payment goes up. And so you're like, okay, in order to cover that payment, I have to raise the rents. But then your tenant's like, well, no, this isn't fair. Why are you raising the rents? Your expenses shouldn't have gone up. Like, you did you look at my books? Did you talk to my insurance company? Did you check how much these capital expenditures are going to cost me? No, you didn't. You're just pulling smoke out your butt, okay? So give me a break. So anyway, Rhode Island is joining the idiotic states who think that these just cause eviction bills are somehow going to prevent people from losing their homes. It's not, okay? The good landlords are going to get caught up in a net where they can't get rid of bad tenants, right? And the bad landlords, they're going to continue to be bad. So it's not going to stop anything. The only thing it's going to do is, like I said, make it much harder for the good landlords to operate their businesses.